So PPM 9.2 released about a month ago or 45 days ago as generally available, and the focus of the release was really in the user experience improvements, visual improvements, and then a focus on some of the integrations with PPM, including integrations with Quality Center and the new Agile Manager solution, and I'll be able to show all of those in the live demo today. From a user experience perspective, there are some significant new capabilities around usability and demand management and the request detail page. And then there's some dashboard capabilities that were implemented with asynchronous loading, and I'll be able to show that as well. So as we move in from a user experience perspective, the asynchronous loading really allows for each dashboard asynchronously loads, so they're not all loading at one time as a single page. So you'll start to see data presented from certain portlets before the entire page is presented, and there's an example of it happening here, and we'll see that in the demo. So if there are portlets that run longer than others, you can still get and organize your page such that you can start to get presentation of data before all the portlets have received their data. This one is really probably one of the biggest impactful features that I consider within the release, and this is the ability they've added a pins toolbar on the request detail page. And so this toolbar here where you have your workflow actions as well as your save, cancel, copy, etc. buttons, those are always pinned at the top of the page even when you scroll down to the bottom of the form. So if you have a long form, you don't have to scroll back up to save or complete workflow actions. That's always pinned at the top of that request detail page. There's also the quick navigation on the request detail page, and so this section on the left allows you to quickly navigate from section to section within the request details. You can also minimize this so you can utilize the full width of the screen for the form if you don't want the request details jump to navigation on the left-hand side. And then this one's also fairly significant. When you actually go to save a request and you have required fields that are missing, it actually lists all those required fields in this top area, and then you can actually click and go directly to those fields. So if you have a large form or a form with lots of required fields, and I'll show this as we enter a proposal in the demo, all of the fields show up here as being required, and then you can use this link to actually go to the field and fill it in. And then I think the last one on the demand management side was the ability to, in the top navigation menu, you can choose the most recently created request type from the top menu. So instead of having to say create request and then pull the drop down for the recently created or click on that, you can actually do it from the top menu. From a visual improvement perspective, as you've seen with some of the screenshots so far, they've made visual improvements to the UI on a lot of pages within PPM. So obviously the main page and some of the dashboard portlets, the request details page, we saw that. The project overview layout has the visual improvements. It's in the financial summary in the program and the staffing profile, obviously the login page, and then all of the pages under search and create within the top menu, not including the administrative menu, have been given the new look and feel of for PPM 9.2. So here's the new login page for PPM 9.2, and I'll just quickly run through these because we're going to see them all in the demo. The new dashboard page, so some changes in the portlets related to some of the visual indicators and the graphics are much crisper and different or better colors. This is the new project overview page. Once again, you can see some of the graphics changes and things like that. The financial summary page we laid out with the new layout and the new look and feel. And then the program page, the program overview page, also with the new layout. The staffing profile page with the new layout. We'll see all of these in the live demo. And then the request details page we've seen previously, but with a much different layout. And then on the search pages, similarly, a new layout for all of the search pages. And then the visual improvements on the portlets and charts. So these are some examples of the better looking UI in the charts or the newer UI in the charts. And then from an integration perspective, there was a significant investment here with a new integration landing page where you configure all of the integrations within PPM. And so you can configure the integration with ALM and Quality Center here, as well as the Agile Manager integration, all within the UI in PPM, and I'll show you that integration landing page. In the Manage Application Change ALM integration, there has been the ability to add a requirement type to the integration, so you can choose which requirement type you want to create in ALM, which is here. And then you can choose whether or not you want to synchronize the requirements between PPM and ALM. There are some enhanced failover mechanisms, and then the consistent configuration within the PPM UI. And then this one is really significant for customers that are using PPM and ALM together. This gives you the ability to have your quality statistics embedded within the project overview. And it's leveraged by linking your project to the quality scorecard in ALM, and then it actually renders the same quality scorecard right in the PPM dashboard. And I could show that integration as well. And then the final integration is the integration with Agile Manager. And this integration allows you to link a task or a summary task within the work plan to a release in Agile Manager, and then it synchronizes those tasks and provides you with the Agile project status, as well as visibility within PPM to the burn up and burn down charts for that release in Agile Manager. So I've just signed into a PPM 9.2 demo environment, and you can start to see the changes in the front page or the dashboard page. I'm actually going to pull up a dashboard where we can see the asynchronous loading happening. So if I look at something like the active portfolio for the current year, you can see that each of the dashboards load individually with the asynchronous loading. And so that's I guess, beneficial if you can relay out your portlet such that the ones that load the quickest potentially are at the top of the page. And if you have something that takes a little bit longer, you might want to move it down so that you can start to visualize the information while the other portlets are still loading. So this is the new layout with the top menu being slightly different. One of the features was to create the request, and then you can actually create your latest created requests, so those show up in the menu. So I'm going to go ahead and create a PFM proposal and walk through some of the new features within the demand management form. So one of the first things I'll show is the ability when you scroll on the form itself, that this top toolbar always stays pinned and visible so that you can submit without having to scroll back up or down. So as I scroll and that hits the top of the screen and continue down, that toolbar remains pinned at the top of the screen. The other feature that was in here was the ability to jump to a specific section. So if I click on references, it takes me there. If I click on summary, it takes me back. And you can also minimize this window so you have the full window to be able to input the data in the form. And then the other feature that was there was notice that the business unit, the proposal name, and the executive overview and the business objective are all required fields. If I go ahead and try to submit this at this point, it not only gives me up at the top the value missing for the 4 required fields, but it actually highlights those fields so that you can easily navigate to which fields you need to fill in. So I will just put in, I'll put in 2 of the 4 required fields. I'll go back up here and click submit, and now it shows me I need my executive overview and business objective. And if you have a long form, this is very helpful, that you can just click on business objective and it takes you directly to that field. So I'll go ahead and choose that and just get this submitted. Notice my submit button always remains pinned at the top. So now that I've submitted that proposal, I'm going to actually go back into it so we have a little bit longer form within the application. And now you'll see that the workflow steps are actually here in that the same bar, and then as you scroll down, once again, that gets pinned at the top of the screen. So if I can just go through and approve this so we can get more fields to open up in the form. This is the reconfirm capabilities continuing to work like it worked before. And now we'll see we have a very long form with lots more things opened up. I don't think that any of these are required fields, but maybe they are, like the region. So as you're going through this, you might say, okay, I built the high-level business case, and that immediately shows you that region's required, and you can click and go to choose the region, and then click on completed. So it's a much, and then these are reconfirm fields that are required during that workflow transition. And so now you can see that we continue to build the form out. Now it's valuable to be able to jump right to the status if you wanted to look at the workflow or back to the summary information, into the references section here, to the notes, etc. So this jump to and the toolbar were the 2 main features, as well as the required fields showing at the top when you don't fill them in. So that's some of the main capabilities within demand management. Let me just jump into a couple of other dashboards just to show you some of the new look and feel for the project status overview. So here's an example of the project list portlet, and then actually drilling into a particular project where you start to see the new project summary overview or project overview page with some of the new visualizations. Now, on this project overview page, I've actually linked the integration with the quality scorecard into this particular project. And so this would be a case where if you're using ALM for managing your tests and managing your defects and requirements, you can actually link a particular project to the quality scorecard and then show that scorecard right in the project summary or project overview. And it's actually one of the portlets that if you go into the project settings, you have the ability to control that project overview layout, and you can see that it's actually, where is it? Project quality scorecard is here, so you can define where that shows up on your actual your actual project summary screen. Let me go ahead and refresh this or save it. And now you'll see that scorecard should have moved to the bottom as the last portlet on this project summary page. So that's a quick view of some of the new look and feel and the layout and capabilities. The other thing I wanted to cover was the integration with Agile Manager. So there's if you go under Open Administration, actually I need to sign in as the admin user to get to the integrations. And so if you go Open, Administration, Integrations with Quality Center, you'll see that this is the overall page where you set up the integration. So you can configure that integration with Quality Center right in here, and you can see we have a couple that are actually configured, and this actually gives you the ability to view log files. So we have the defects integrated with Quality Center in this instance, and then we also have requirements, and then you can view things like the log file to see if the integration is having any issues. And so here's an example where we have a defect in Quality Center that the integration is trying to put in PPM, but there's a missing required field in Quality Center. The severity field is not filled in, so it's not able to create that integration. And similarly with the view project quality, the same thing where you define your Quality Center instance and how the integration works, and the Agile integration solution as well. And the HP Agile Manager, I don't know if everybody's aware of it, but it's a new product from HP. It's a SaaS-only Agile Manager offering, and so we're able to do that integration as well with PPM, and once again do things like the logs, and you can see that synchronization is actually running and synchronizing between those. So if I go back to my main dashboard, I actually have set up a scenario here where I've integrated this Mercury Tours project within PPM with Agile Manager, and I'll show you how that works. And so I just from a dashboard perspective get a Gantt summary that shows all the sprints that are happening. These are actually coming from Agile Manager. And so this is just going a couple of levels down. If you go one level further down, you can actually see on these sprints that are happening the actual user stories that are being impacted, and these are coming directly from Agile Manager. And so if I click into this Mercury Tours project, you'll see that there's this Agile Project Timeline tab that's been added to the project page. And if you click in there, this is actually where you see the integration. So this task, Agile Development, in my project plan at PPM is linked to Release 1 in the Agile project, and you can see this data comes from Agile Manager, the start date and the end date of that release, the progress of that release within Agile Manager, and then this is where you can actually click in and view the details. And so this is going out to Agile Manager now and bringing the burn up and burn down charts into PPM. And so you have visibility of that actual release within PPM. And so I'm going to jump over here to Agile Manager and just show you that same information in Agile Manager. So this is the Release 1 that were linked to an Agile Manager. And actually, if I go to into release management and look at Sprint 5, just Sprint 5, which is the current sprint, so I'll just choose Sprint 5. You can see all of these user stories within Agile Manager and their status of in progress or new, and the theme that they're impacting and the number of story points. You can see that same information within PPM. So if I go back to PPM and I go to my dashboard again, I think I must have missed that. So if I go back into that Mercury Tours application, probably could have, and look at the work plan, what that synchronization between Agile Manager is doing is actually bringing over the sprints and the user stories in the scope of PPM. So if we go down to Sprint 5, these are the same user stories that you have in Agile Manager. The estimated remaining effort actually comes from Agile Manager. So this is what's driving that percent complete. So these 8 or 9 user stories are actually the same set of information that's here in Agile Manager. And so that's the way the integration works to give you visibility of the Agile status of the projects. So I don't think there were a ton of data model changes. The upgrade is pretty seamless, and it's more based on the UI, the user experience, and the user interaction. I do know that it requires Java 7, which is one change that I'm aware of, but it's a fairly benign upgrade from that perspective because most of the changes were in either the integration side or the look and feel side of the application and not so much on the data model side. With the current integration, as I understand it, and I think this is right, the tasks that come over from Agile Manager, the user stories, you can't log time directly against them, but you can log the time against the summary task. And so the way you actually configure this is this Agile Development Summary task is where the configuration is to the Agile Manager. And you basically go in and you say, I want this summary task to be representative of this release in Agile Manager. And that's where you go in and actually tie it together. And you can actually, and I can't remove this because I have another demo at 10 a.m. on this, but if you remove this, you can actually tie a summary project to the Agile Manager. And so with this first release, the recommendation is that you log the time against that summary task, and really that's where you can log your time. The whole reason for bringing over the user stories in the first release is to get that visibility of what they are, and then also be able to get to the point where you can see that percent complete of the release and the structure of the Agile project within PPM. And I think that's when I built out this dashboard for demo purposes. It was really to focus on the ability to say we're doing Agile development, and then as the Agile development team builds out the structure of how they're going to build, it'll actually be represented here. And so that was really the point, is for the first release to give visibility of the sprints and the user stories. And then I know HP has a roadmap to continue use cases on building out the integration with Agile Manager.